May I say brr?
Okay, I got mine.
Brr,
Yeah,
brr, 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 brr.
It was more than brr
Goodness
this
gracious,
morning.
sakes alive.
Look, my heated seats couldn't even get warm enough before I got here.
You should have started that thing early, like last
I
night.
did.
Like last
Oh,
night.
last,
Yeah.
no.
You know, it was good morning. I'm Rayford Brown.
And good morning, I'm Lee Barrows.
I remember an old station wagon I used to have, a 1968 Rambler station wagon. Great car, but it was one cold-natured beast.
Oh, yeah.
It took forever for it to warm up after you started the motor in the wintertime. So what I would do, I was cool. I got me one of those little heaters, small one,
Yes.
electric heater, and I found a place under the hood to mount it. Probably stupid, because they actually make heaters things for people up north. They can put them in their oil stick or whatever, heated oil stick things. But I heated it up underneath. I plugged it in, had an extension cord running to a plug.
Talk about jerry rigging.
It was, and but that car, the motor started right up, and it got heat right away. So that was a good thing.
I imagine.
Then an old van that I had, those things are cold anyway. It's a big old cargo type van, no windows in the back.
We had one that was I was gonna say a Dodge, maybe. That we used to do surveillance in.
Oh, great.
So
I remember those things.
It had pretty purple curtains.
Purple curtains.
Purple curtains. I can't even talk this morning.
It's too cold.
Whew.
Yeah, but in the back, I put the heater in the back of the van. So I'd turn it on when I got ready to take a shower in the mornings, bright and early.
Right.
By the time I got in the van, it was toasty in the van. But wow.
That brings to mind something. You remember the old polyester pantsuits?
Those were miserable.
The women wore them, the men wore them.
Oh, yeah.
And you electric heater, it would melt your pants.
How was your weekend?
My weekend was very good.
I know 37 really happy people today.
Yeah. Oh.
I know about 300 million that are probably not so happy today.
I came in the door fussing about that this morning.
You were one of those 300 million. For one reason or another, Mr. Biden, as president, a lame duck president, less than 30 days to go. How much more damage can he do? Well, he commuted the sentences of virtually every person on death row in the federal death row. I hope he stops there, but I don't know. He's already commuted the sentences of I forgot how hundreds and hundreds of people.
I thought it was done, frankly, and then when they ran across that news this morning, I was like, "What?"
Well, he
got a mute.
37 people on death row, on federal death row, I can't believe it. They commuted their sentences to life in prison, allegedly, and I don't want to ever use that word, without the possibility of parole. No. First of all, future legislators, in this particular case, a Supreme Court, if it ever becomes liberal-leaning, could, without any problem whatsoever, because they don't have to run for election,
right,
could easily listen to an argument and commute the death sentences of every inmate, federal and state, in this country to life in prison. They did it once before, 1970-something. That's how Marcus Schrader, the reason he was not executed ever, was he was one of those.
Well, it's like I said this morning, they need to take the pencil and the paper away from that man. Just let him go on vacation the rest of the month because he's not doing anything anyway.
He didn't do this. I just want to know who actually signed his name to this. I would demand before I did anything, before I allowed anything, I would demand to see have a signature comparison.
Well, it's like we were talking this morning. 5 of those convicted felons were murderers of children. And there were some in there that were murderers of law enforcement.
He doesn't care about kids or cops. 3 inmates left on death row. 3. Well, good. They need to take them out today and execute them before he changes his mind on that one. One of those, Robert Bowers, responsible for the mass shooting at the Tree of Life Synagogue in 2018. 11 people killed, so he's still there. Dylan Roof, where everybody's familiar with that name, the white supremacist who killed 9 black parishioners at Emmanuel AME Church in Charleston in 2015. And, of course, the most infamous of all, Schnornef. He worked with his now dead brother, the one he ran over and killed, to perpetrate the 2013 Boston Marathon bombing. They killed 3 people and injured hundreds. So he left them alone. Here's, I don't know what the legalities of this would be, but if a case were to be made today that Joe Biden is incompetent and has been for the last 30 days at least, would all of that be undone? If he was declared incompetent as of 30 days ago, 60 days ago, could this be undone? There's a legal question for you scholars out there.
Yes, that's something I couldn't even. Do you think they should be undone?
Any action that he's taken over the last 60 days should be undone.
Yeah.
And that would include the pardoning of all those people and also the commuting of these death sentences.
Well, the ones here's the convicted murderers who will now escape execution. One man killed a man in a carjacking and his ex-girlfriend. Another one kidnapped and killed a woman after escaping prison. Another one killed a prison guard. Another one stabbed a postal worker to death. Here's one that committed a drug-related killing. One who participated in a murder-for-hire plot of a naval officer. One who kidnapped and killed a 12-year-old girl.
Now, you tell me what... No.
If that had been my 12-year-old daughter or granddaughter, I'd be waiting out.
Well, he hasn't released them. He hasn't pardoned them. Our judicial system.
I just don't understand it. I don't understand why the president is given that power to begin with. He didn't sit on the court case. Nope. He didn't deal with the families. What is even other than? Do you think he sat there and read the entire case before he decided whether or not?
No, he was told what to do.
It's just ridiculous.
Yep, totally ridiculous. Anyway, what are your feelings today? 910-333-0139. What's on your mind? We've got 2 days until Christmas. Today and tomorrow shopping days are it, y'all. Unless you can find one of those late night stores open on Christmas Eve, and they'll be open Christmas morning. I don't know of any. I don't know of any. Well, there will probably be some. Maybe they have some gifts for you.
You got the vape shops. They'll be open, I'm sure.
I don't know.
They're usually open on every holiday.
Really?
Yes. I have one up around me. I'm going to look. I'm going to go out Christmas Day just to look.
Just to take a look-see.
Well, you know what? The one right around the corner for me, every now and then I'll just go up and go to the drive-through window to get a Dr. Pepper. I don't generally buy a 6-pack. I just, every now and then I might want one. And there was 2 small children at the window while the mom was working, and they were getting everything. And I saw the one little boy pick up his mom's vape and started using it. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Really?
Yes.
There's child abuse there.
Yeah, and I'm like, she grabbed it from him, and I'm just like, just the Dr. Pepper, please, and I'm good.
Well, a little disturbing news too. I can't pronounce the group. TDA.
Yes.
We'll let
blah blah blah.
Trende Aragua or something.
Yes.
The Venezuelan gang, the vicious gang that even Venezuela will not accept back into their country. They now are in at least 19 states as of this month.
Wow.
They've moved into 3 more states since last month. They're spreading their 3 states per month would be, how long would it take to finish out the rest of the states? Not that long. They're in 19 states now. 51 states, 31 states to go. 31 states at 3 per month. That's by the end of this coming year, by Thanksgiving of next year. Given that trend, they'll be in every state in the country. One of those states, by the way, is North Carolina.
Oh, yes. We talked about this over the weekend, didn't we?
Most recently, they've shown up in Maryland, North Dakota, Arizona, and Utah. No, they're in New York, Colorado, Texas, Georgia, Tennessee, Florida, Illinois, California, Nevada, Louisiana, Virginia. Now they're in North Carolina, Maryland, North Dakota, or Arizona, and Utah. What are we not doing right in this country? The Department of Homeland Security has designated TDA as a transnational criminal organization. A big deal. Describing it as a brutal transnational criminal street gang from Venezuela. They kicked them out of the country. You know those little cheap floaty toys you can buy?
Yes.
Strap them to them, fill them up, and send them sailing.
Oh, my gosh.
With some cow guts attached.
Oh, God. Chum.
Oh, yeah.
Chum. They call that chum.
And a slow leak.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. You wouldn't have to worry about a slow
And don't
leak.
forget the anchor attached to the ankles.
Oh, my gosh.
So,
I'll say take them to the stream station.
There you go. That's where I would be aiming.
There's a train station, and then I know.
Along the eastern seaboard, there is the stream station.
That's right.
More effective, total evidence disposal.
Mm.
We're just doing something wrong today. We're going to find out from a guest coming up in about 20 minutes if he hasn't turned around and run home. District Attorney Ernie Lee.
We haven't seen him in a while.
Because he's been really busy for one thing. Good gracious. Man about town. The DA, he's got cases in a bunch of counties in eastern North Carolina, and a lot of criminal cases, a lot of murder cases as well. I don't know how many are outstanding, but I forgot what it was the last time we had him, a bunch. So, and then more murders have been committed since then. So he, I don't know how he can do it with the manpower that he has and the limited number of judges and the limited number of courtroom. We need a murder. That's what we need.
What?
We need,
we need a murder.
We need a courtroom designated as for murders. We have drug cases we hear. Yes. We need a courtroom to cover the entire prosecutorial district.
Right.
Right. Here in eastern North Carolina, and do nothing but try murder cases. Bring them in one at a time. Up next. Next, like they used to holler in the barbershops. Next.
I just wonder, like being a district attorney or being an assistant district or even a judge, deal with murder case after murder case after murder case.
Yeah. Listen to, and and the stuff that the DA listens to, it's kind of like the cops out there,
Right. Well, yes, because
they hear a whole lot of stuff that never is heard in courtrooms because they can't get it introduced as evidence.
Well, yes, I agree with that.
And you cannot explain to people in a courtroom after you sanitize all the evidence as best as the defense attorney will allow.
Right. It's
sanitized evidence by the time the jury hears it, sees it.
The law enforcement that has to see it first on the scene and see it, the district attorneys and the prosecution, all those people that are having to see it afterwards. I mean, they've got the graphic pictures, they've got the graphic details, and you wonder how they even sleep at night with some of these cases, like the Mariah Carey case.
Yep.
I mean, I can't even imagine what those people dealing with that trial had to go through. It was horrific. I know just as people living in North Carolina and Onslow County and us following the story, I even went out with the group that did the search party one day, and it was just, gosh. We let the dog in.
Can you imagine if you had found the victim? How that would have gone over for you. Okay, there's Well, we got a puppy dog entering the building, entering the studio,
Hungry.
heading straight for the food bowl. Good boy. Good boy.
Well, you talk about that. While we were out on the search party, we came across, we had to go through this section of woods, and we came across a little blanket, a child's blanket and pillow in the woods. And we were like,
Panicked.
oh, well, we were like, oh. And so we had to send a message, and one of the SBI people came down to take a look at it. But what was crazy was there was such a silence. Nobody talked, and there was probably 200 people out there searching, walking through the woods, and nobody spoke a word. That's how solemn it was. And that was just us. I can't imagine all the people dealing with the case.
Yep. It can be that way. It can be a really terrible experience.
Very.
When you have to deal with homicide victims and cases like that. It's always a mess. Always a mess.
I keep looking up there for the clock. It's such a habit.
Well, I got the clock over here
Yes.
hiding right now. It's wrong. So no need of keeping a
It's cold.
wrong
The keyboard
clock.
hardly worked this morning. Nothing. It was cold.
These so they call them atomic clocks, which is a misnomer. I'm not sure why. They just this is a cool sound, I guess. But the clocks set themselves
Yes.
between midnight and 6
It's pretty
a.m. or
cool.
something. There's a low frequency signal that penetrates the world, coming from a central times clock, and sometimes those signals are interrupted.
Right.
Sometimes atmospheric conditions, as every ham radio operator knows, they're interrupted. So things go kind of awry from time to time. We can probably turn that blast furnace off. What do you think?
Sure.
It's 74
Oh, we
degrees
got
in
to.
here now. It was 58 when I got in, and so we should be able to turn that sucker down right now. And what time is it? So it's time. Let's go ahead and do our forecast, because I think we have a visitor has shown up. So we will have our guest coming in here a minute or two early this morning. He's driving a fire truck.
What?
Yeah, it's fire. Look at that.
It's not Santa.
Look at that fire truck. Isn't it a bright red, pretty fire truck?
Oh, wait, that's the Mustang, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep. I
The
think
rain
that-
forecast for Christmas week is brought to you by Community Prevention Services of Jacksonville. Most people love Christmas. They gather with family, with friends. They see old acquaintances from years ago. There are others who may enjoy Christmas, but there could be an event associated with Christmas from the past that brings heartache. It haunts them. The loss of a loved one, a tragic situation involving a friend, a spouse giving you the
Right.
bad news that they're leaving. While Christmas had nothing to do with the event or events that caused the heartaches, many of us tend to associate some events with Christmas, our birthdays, or other holidays. When those days roll around again, old memories tend to come from within. Counselors will likely tell you that the dates of those events you would as soon forget are not important. They're right, of course, and you know they're right. Does that make any difference? Probably not. If you tend to dwell on those dates, not remembering the good times that those dates are associated with, just the empty feelings of those days that may have been years and years ago, this might be a good time for a refresher course. Call the folks at Community Prevention Services of Jacksonville. Set some time aside so they can help you work on the issues you're having. Don't wait for this holiday season to go by, harboring those feelings, knowing it's going to happen again next year, and dread it for the next year. Don't put it off until then. Go ahead and see someone. Chances are that your more rational side will come to the front, and you'll be able to enjoy the holidays in the future, perhaps remembering the good times that happened on those dates, or the good times associated with some of those same individuals before those dates happen. Give them a call, 910-353-0972. That's 910-353-0972, Community Prevention Services of Jacksonville. A coastal low is now forecast to impact the area tonight and tomorrow. High pressure then rebuilds into the area through the remainder of the week. Offshore today, looking pretty good. Northeasterly winds 10 to 15 knots, seas 2 to 4 feet, sounds and rivers of moderate chop, but it's going to be cold. Tuesday, tomorrow, northeasterly winds 5 to 10 knots, becoming northerly 15 to 20 with gusts up to 25 in the afternoon. Seas only 2 to 4 feet, but they're going to get bigger in the afternoon, 4 to 6. Near shore seas 2 to 4, sounds and rivers of light chop, becoming choppy in the afternoon tomorrow. Christmas Day, hang around the house. Put some line on that new reel. Reload your tackle box. Winds are going to be out of the north 15 to 20 knots with gusts to 25, seas 4 to 6 feet. 3 to 4 near shore, but don't even bother. The inlets are going to be too rough and too cold. Sounds and rivers will be choppy.
And today is going to be sunny with a high near 49, light north wind becoming northeast 5 to 9 miles per hour in the morning. Tonight, a chance of rain with a low of around 34. Tuesday, morning showers are likely, mostly cloudy with a high near 49. And Christmas Day, sunny with a high near 56.
Oh, a heat wave.
A heat wave tonight, 34.
Yeah. Well, it was 20, and it remains 20 at the official weather station over here. If you're out in the sun, things will warm up a little faster, but official temperatures are not taken where the sun is shining.
Right.
And that's the way that goes.
Right. I
know
it was cold.
We've got our district attorney walking through the door here, District Attorney Ernie Lee. So we'll chat with him for just a minute as soon as he's greeted by the official Walmart greeter.
Yes.
That would be Shockwave. But we got another disgusting story to start your Monday. In New York, police have nailed a migrant from Guatemala. They say set a woman on fire yesterday. 33-year-old Sebastian, and I can't pronounce his last name, is in custody, but no charges had been filed as of last night. The victim was on a subway in Brooklyn at a station on Coney Island when a man police say was Zapata poured what they believe was lighter fluid on her, then set her on fire. Police smelled the smoke, investigated, and found the victim in flames standing inside the train. Police and a train employee used a fire extinguisher to put the flames out. The woman was pronounced dead. Zapata remained seated on a bench on the platform outside the train while the woman was burning. The description was broadcast. He had left the area by that time, along with photos from police cameras. The 3 New York high school students who were in the area, they called 911 after they saw the picture, saying they knew that guy. He was taken into custody in short order. Police found a cigarette lighter in his pocket. They have no motive for the killing. He's believed to have entered the United States about a year ago. It's not known yet officially, at least they haven't told us whether he's here legally or not. Some reports initially from the scene say he is illegal and should not be in this country. Well, yeah, he should not be in this country. He should not be alive, but that's the way things work. District Attorney Ernie Lee. There is a whole bunch of stuff going on around this country. Aren't you glad you're not there?
Yeah. I'm glad I'm not there. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. You, besides freezing.
Golly, it's cold out here.
Are you warm enough in here?
Yeah, I'm warm in here, but I tell you, when I got out this morning, it took me a while to get here. I thought, oh my goodness, my windows were completely frozen up.
Yes.
Man, it's too cold. Now, my brother lives in Minot, North Dakota.
Oh,
and it's
I'm
26
so sorry.
here. He would say that's a heat wave because I talked to him the other day. The high was 2.
Oh, my.
And the next day, I got a little warmer, it was high of 3. But
No.
so it's all relative, I guess, but it's still cold to me.
There are 40 other states, and many of them are below that cold belt.
That's right. That's right.
What's wrong with them?
He's lived there, gosh, about 30 years now.
Nah. A glutton for punishment he is.
Wow.
Yes.
I know. Sometimes we complain about the weather, but we have it really fortunate here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, it's great to be able to complain about short stints of bad weather.
Yes.
That is right. It'll be warm again probably later in the week.
56 on Christmas Day.
That's great weather. That's great.
That's perfect. That's seasonal.
Yep.
For us, it's
Sure
seasonal.
is.
We were talking earlier. I can remember being much younger kid, and on Christmas Day out in shorts and flip flops
Yes.
here. So,
Of course, I've seen some of your former postal carriers, your delivery guys,
they still wear
in shorts when it's snow on the ground.
Yeah.
So don't you know?
Jonathan, if you're listening,
That would be one
I've seen
of
some
them.
of them too. But
Especially-
they're tough, aren't they?
yeah, all in.
Oh, I'm
Then you got to
sick.
try to cover the route. Put your
That's right. Stay warm. You might stay
Put your
well.
pants on.
Well, that's a good lines.
Yeah.
Stay warm, stay well.
That's right.
Every doctor ought to have that on the office door. So,
Yes.
that's as good as click 'em and tick 'em. What is it?
Click them. Ticket them.
Click it or ticket.
Yeah, click
That's
it or ticket. Yeah.
Click it or ticket.
That's it.
Yeah, first time I heard that was in the 70s or 80s.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's still being used.
Yes, it is. It's a good one. Mr. DA.
I know we've missed you.
I missed y'all too.
We love your stories.
You don't have time for us.
I've been pretty busy.
So busy.
And I can tell you the last few months of the year, it was busy throughout the year, but the last few months are extremely busy. I tell you, October, November, December, I've been swamped. And I've been in the other counties a lot as well. I've had to be in Duplin and Sampson quite a bit for different things. Seems like the end of the year too, just a lot of reports are coming in, a lot of law enforcement agencies trying to get it off their desk on mine. I'm going to deal with the governor's office on clemency issues, but I think there was a story this morning from the president about that as well. And so I've been having to deal with a lot of issues, and just a lot of parole issues come up from the old law, and clemency issues, just a lot of stuff at the end of the year.
It's not that any more crime is happening towards the end of the year or whatever. Are cases slowing down? Is the court system slowing down? Is the court system, the judicial system, capable of handling the
we should
load?
say, are they catching up?
Catching up?
Right.
Yeah, we're still a little bit behind. We haven't really completely recovered from COVID. Because we're closed down for about 14 months, and we haven't really completely recovered from that. We've been putting a lot of time this year in murder cases, trying to catch up on those. We got rid of 9 murder cases this year. 4 were for trials, and all 4 came back first-degree murder. So that was good for the district and good for justice. But we're just still trying to catch up. And one other thing, we're going to get slowed down again in February, and this is coming up. I don't know if y'all heard about it. It's called e-courts. And it's a new court system where everything's try to go paperless, not completely, but everything will be done electronically on the computers, tickets all the way up to Superior Court.
Really?
And we are the third to the last region in the state to go with it. I think it's out 2 years. Now they're going to go with us. We start February the 3rd. We go live. My 4 counties, along with Craven, Pamlico, Carteret, and New Hanover, Pender. So we've got of us going to be going live then. That's going to be, I've been taking the classes. It's hard. It's just difficult.
I never worked. I got out of law enforcement before the things were in the car that we had to write tickets with, right?
Right.
You had to write them a ticket. Every ticket I ever wrote before it ever got very far was looked at by somebody else and looked. The cop's going to be held to a higher degree of accountability just for preparing the reports electronically and making typos or, oh my God, it disappeared. What happened to my report?
That's always a risk. We don't know just yet.
Oh my God.
Just don't know because everything is supposed to go electronic.
Uh-huh.
And let me just tell you, the way we're supposed to be doing it is, of course, the citation will be issued on a computer. It'll then come to the clerk's office. Then we will be able to download it. And then we're going to actually amend it on the computer for someone.
Okay, so you can do that.
Yes. And
Oh,
then
thank
we
God.
send messages then to the clerk saying we reduce this down to improper equipment or whatever. Then the clerks will basically make the changes on their in their system. And then it goes to the judge for electronic signature. So really not supposed to be passing paper anymore.
In theory, it should save trees and save time.
It should, but I can tell you,
You're going to have to be trained.
Yeah, you got to be trained up. And I took classes over a week ago over in Atlantic Beach. There's still so much I don't know how to do. But I know some of the other districts, though, they said it's taking more people and more time. Johnston County was the first one to roll it out. And after that, I think it was Lee Harnett counties in Mecklenburg and Wake. And it's just been a lot to do. It's taking more people to actually get it done. But we'll get it. Eventually, it may take a while, but we're going to get it.
Interesting.
Well, saving the
February
trees.
3rd. It's February 3rd.
Oh, Lord. So good luck on that one. Shortest month of the year, and you get to roll this thing out. Oh,
yeah,
goody.
we'll roll it out. And
Trial and error. Trial and
so
error.
It's going to be
Okay, I noticed, I do know you just said you've disposed of several murder cases this year.
Yes, sir.
And have there been any additional to take those places and add to the docket?
Oh.
Yeah, my number is.
Why would I know that?
Yeah, my number stayed about the same. I've got 45 first-degree murder defendants pending in my district right now. 19 of those are in Onslow, so we did get it below 20, which I really
Wow.
want to get done. And the last trial just finished in December. Mike Maltzby, my chief ADA, tried it,
I like
and the
him.
jury came back first-degree murder. And get the same week, and it was just by chance because it was not planned. We had another first-degree murder verdict over in Sampson. So 2 in 1 week, one on a Monday, one on a Wednesday.
No, that's good.
Yeah, you don't see that very often because the odds of it happening is pretty slim.
Samson and Dublin keep you busy.
Yes.
Whew.
Yeah, I've been over there a lot the last few weeks.
Well, you've got 19 pending in Oslo County.
Yes, sir.
That's a bunch.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Over what? The one that's on the docket now, or not on the docket, but the one that you've got to try. How long ago did that particular one occur? How old are some of these cases?
Yeah, the oldest one we've got pending now, I believe, in Onslow County is 2019. We got one from 2019.
It's 5 years.
Yeah, 5 years. And
Wow.
some of the
So-
reasons are because of attorney situations, mental health issues, having to have evaluations, a few lab issues on a few of them. But yeah, but most of them are actually from like 22 and 23 and 24.
We've had that many murders in Onslow
Yeah,
County.
we still have quite a few. We have quite a few. Yeah, and it seems like as soon as I finish one, so we just finished 2, it seems like there's always 1 or 2 to replace them. So I'm always kind of concerned about that, particularly Christmas holidays coming up.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh. About every Christmas, I get some calls that there's something happening somewhere.
Say the one word.
I drove up on one on Christmas Eve.
Oh my.
Yeah. Really?
Never
What year
good.
was that?
It was in New Hanover County.
In New Hanover. Wow. Wow.
I was a reporter.
Yeah.
We were headed back to the barn, my partner and I, at noon. We're going to get out early. Christmas Eve. We had our story. Both of us had a story.
Wow.
Headed back to the barn. The scanner goes off. Woman screaming. It's on a dead end street within a block of where we were. So we did a roll by. Of course, nobody there at the time. Our windows are down because still the cop part of me was coming out just in case. Nothing. Didn't hear anybody screaming. People scream all the time. We know that, right? So we did a circle in their little cul-de-sac. Okay, we headed back to the barn, which was a quarter mile away. Got there and we need an ID unit over here. And I said, oh, crapola.
Yeah.
Oh, we're back over there. She'd been beaten to death.
Wow. Wow. It's always something.
Yeah.
Christmas holidays with the Christmas season is kind of bad because it seems like people, of course, are getting together, some
Right.
drinking
Yes.
going on,
Very emotional. for a lot of people.
things such as that. So
And people still dissatisfied about November 5th.
yeah, that's right. Whatever and just a lot of things are going on.
Yeah.
So hopefully it'll be a quiet Christmas. I remember one Christmas Eve though, it's gonna be Christmas Day. I was trying to get to my in-laws,
Oh,
and before I left, I actually had everything packed up. This is early afternoon, and I get a call first of all from Jones County. There's been a boy hit on a bicycle over there.
ooh.
So now we're trying to decide what to do with the driver or the other vehicle. As soon as I finished that, I got a call from Duplin County. There'd been a shooting, and SBI Sheriff's Office responding. It turned out to be a homicide. Then right after that, I kid you not, one from Sampson County where there's another
On
shooting
Christmas
over in
Day.
Clinton, all on Christmas Day. And then as I'm driving down, there'd been a shooting here in Jacksonville.
Oh my gosh.
So all within all 4 of my counties on Christmas Day. So then I spent a lot of my time that day on the telephone with the SBI and the sheriff's offices.
Man.
But hopefully this Christmas will be a lot quieter. That's
Yes.
what I'm hoping.
Y'all behave.
Yeah, please do.
Lock your
Please do.
guns up. Put your drugs away.
Remember, it's supposed to be the season of peace and joy.
Yeah. And
So
and
put your
put that
guns away,
moonshine
put the
up.
alcohol away, and
Mhm.
let's just get along at least for a day.
Well, I have a question. You were discussing earlier about the murder case from 2019
Right.
and all the delays, which I can
Oh, I
understand
had COVID during
delays.
that time too.
Yeah, we also
What?
had COVID.
Oh, yes,
COVID
yes.
put us
Okay.
behind a long way on that.
How
one.
do you get around the fair and speedy trial aspect of it by going for so long? It's been 5 years now.
Yeah, it really in North Carolina we do have a speedy trial law, but it's very, very that's what I'll say liberal in its
Okay.
interpretation. And obviously, on the cases like that, if we can argue that it's not in bad faith, the reason the case has been continued for so long. In other words, the state is trying to harm the defendant in some way, we're
Right.
going to be good. For example, in this one, look, we had COVID, so of course we're shut down for 14 months. Then we had some mental health delays on it because this is not on us, that's on the other side.
Right.
And the
Okay.
defense quite often will move for
Right.
delays too.
Right.
Absolutely.
I can
And then we had
understand
some
that.
lab issues. Well, I don't control the lab,
Right.
and they're of course behind. And so as long as we can document these things, we're good. Now, if you don't have those things, it's just the state not getting to it, you got problems then.
Well, is this person, I take it, still in custody,
they're still in custody.
incarcerated?
Well, that brings up a topic.
Yes, I have it right here on my page because I was like, we've got to ask Ernie Lee about this.
Yeah, big
This
legend.
just happened.
This is not a Jordan problem.
Okay.
This just happened in Burlington, North Carolina, and this was a couple of weeks ago. This one gentleman, his last name is Marshall. He was on trial for first-degree murder,
Mm-hmm.
and he was in court. And on Friday, which was last Friday, a week
Before
ago.
he got to court, though, he had been released under bond.
Yeah, he was evidently, because when he was in court on Friday and they took a break for lunch, he went to lunch and never came back.
Okay.
And on Monday, the jury convicted him of first-degree murder.
Right.
And I mean,
And he wasn't there
Yeah.
and hasn't been seen.
it hasn't been seen since. So how do they let somebody that's being tried for first-degree murder like leave and go to lunch? I mean,
Well, if you posted bond, if
Right.
you have posted bond, and I've had some murder defendants also post bond, but I can tell you everyone has showed up for court, everyone. But in saying that, if you have posted bond, then without any restrictions on it, then you are allowed to leave, go to lunch, go home at night, those type things. Of course, you're expected to come back the next day or after the recess. The second thing is, once the jury has been impaneled and once the trial has started, if the defendant disappears, the trial does continue on.
Right.
You
Right.
cannot stop it because jeopardy is attached. However, you cannot sentence him without him being present. So the sentence must be continued until he's physically in the courtroom.
Wow.
You can't sentence him without him being present. I've actually had this happen a few times. I had on a sex offense one time, lunchtime, the defendant, he was on bond. He left, did not come back. We continued the trial. He was convicted. He was found like a week later. We sentenced him then.
well, are there certain, I mean, is there a difference on when you allow someone to post bond if they're being charged with first-degree murder? Is there some type of circumstance where you would say no bond at all?
Yeah.
I mean, what makes the difference? If he's being charged with first-degree murder and first-degree armed robbery charges, how is he even allowed to have a bond?
That's a good question. If it's potentially a capital case, you can have no bond. If it is
Right.
not a capital case, you are entitled to a bond that must be reasonable. Now, what is reasonable? I mean, look, I was dealing with this last night and Saturday. I've got one over in Sampson, has a bad record. He's now got some serious traffic issues, Chapter 20 violation, where he's injured some people driving. We had his bond set at $1 million. We requested that because he's been a menace on the highways. But it has to be what's reasonable. I like I said, I've had defendants though post bonds and actually show up for court for murder. I've had more problems with my drug traffickers and things such as that disappearing than I have the murders. But in this case, well, obviously this defendant obviously became probably apprehensive of the jury and decided not to come back.
His lawyer told him, you're done, dude.
That's right.
I was just shocked.
But the bond's going to be reasonable. You got to have a reasonable bump of what's
Right.
reasonable.
Right.
And I can tell you, it's difficult to decide sometimes. I mean, I get called all the time. I go for bond hearings. I mean, I don't know this individual. So the things you're looking at is the nature of the crime, what they actually have charged with, trying to protect society. Also, are they at risk to leave or flee? You know, do they have a job? Do they have a family in this area? Those things are more likely to keep you here.
Right.
And of course, their prior record. We look at all those things, but sometimes the courts make the right call. Sometimes they don't. I've never had one though flee during trial that was not apprehended.
Well, he's
Everyone-
still
So
missing.
nobody's at large on your watch, right?
Yeah, he's
That's
still
all.
missing. So, I mean, I was just like, and this was, like I said, not this past Friday, the Friday before. That's how long he's been missing.
That was in Burlington, up in Allen.
He drove his own car out, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm sure they'll catch him eventually. But
Yeah, well, we'll
I
probably
was
catch him when he
just-
goes to renew his driver's license.
I was
You get
just
stopped for a ticket,
Yes.
citation, and they're
Right.
going to run it. Next thing you know,
Uh-huh.
they got somebody that's wanted for murder or armed robbery. And that happens quite a bit. And then a lot of people really, I mean, they're not thinking the most clearly because you decide I'm going to run, but where are you going to go? Most people don't have the resources to go very far. And their families here, everything they know is right here. So it's hard to really disappear for very, very
And
much.
somebody named Bubba is going to rat you out.
Yes, you always got friends, and there's
Bubba.
probably a reward placed for it, and they'll turn him in. I expect this guy will be caught because again, how much resources does he have, and how far can he go?
And of course, I don't know what the nature of the murder was or what occurred.
It's an armed
so
robbery.
either way,
It occurred during that.
so that's the other point there. When she just brought that up, I didn't pick up on it earlier. Armed robbery, and in the commission of that crime, committing an armed robbery, he killed somebody. There should have been no bond on that. That should have been a felony murder case, right?
I would think so, but I don't know the circumstances of it. What if maybe, and I don't know this, but what it was maybe robbery of another person engaged in the drug trade, and you land up robbing them and killing them.
Right,
And you
here's-
look at those circumstances too. It doesn't make, it's obviously not, you should not be killing that person, but the judge can take in consideration all the facts and circumstances versus.
It was during a drug deal.
Huh, well,
Okay, see.
that also explains.
It was
That's another reason he's on the lam.
It said he was arrested in January 2018, but was released on bond in 2021.
Which is also unusual because if he's been in jail 3 years almost, or about 3 years, then the defense attorneys could have made motions. Look, he's in jail. There's no end in sight on this case. And what is it, 2024 before it got tried? And so obviously they're behind up there. But the judge could have said, well, justice should be he's out right now because really you're presumed innocent until proven guilty.
Sure.
Here he was arrested in March of 2023 out on bond of charges of cocaine trafficking and cocaine possession with intent to sell and distribute.
Oh my! Sure, revoke that bond in a hurry.
Boy,
So
the
the
guy-
guy should have been in jail, but and he's out on bond. I don't know what the bond is either. The judge could have set an extreme
$500,000.
$500,000. Well,
But
that's a
they
substantial bond.
said
For a drug trafficker.
But maybe
that
not.
nobody actually, however, court records don't show a dollar amount tied to Marshall's bond for his homicide charges. It sounds like there's a lot of
Well, I'm sure that's going to be checked into by the
yeah.
DA there.
Oh,
He's actually a pretty tough guy.
I bet he'll be at the next.
it was a
questions asked of
crazy
him.
story.
It is.
Yeah, he's pretty tough. So
Okay, let's go back to the district here.
Okay.
In Onslow County, you got 19 pending. Any of them capital cases?
yes, sir. 3.
Oh my,
3.
that'd be long, drawn out cases.
Yes, sir. I've got. Matter of fact, I just met with lawyers the week before last from Raleigh on one of them. Getting a trial date set and everything. We set it for I think September.
So they're willing to make a deal, obviously.
Well, they want to. Right now, it's still trial, so we'll
Sure.
see. But we'll see. But it looks like we do have a trial date. That's 9 months away. I'd like to do it sooner, but that 9 months will go by quickly. I know. I've got another one that I've been meeting with the family on it and getting it ready. I've got one out of Holly Ridge. I've been working quite a bit. It's a baby that was killed, and I've been spending a lot of time on that case. Just got a second lawyer appointed. It took a while to get that done because there's just a lack of attorneys out there that are doing capital cases. So it's been pretty busy with cases. And I work on them all the time. I mean, if I don't have something else pressing, I'll just be reading over one of those, doing my summaries and whatever.
We were talking about that at the top of the show about not only does a murder case or something like that affect your law enforcement officers or first responders, but we were talking about how does the district attorney, how does the ADAs, how do the other attorneys handle, because you're constantly seeing this stuff before you, graphic pictures, graphic details, and it's one murder case after another murder case, or maybe a sexual assault case. How do you keep up with all that? I mean, how do you process it and be able to get up every morning with a smile on your face?
Me personally, I compartmentalize things. I mean, things are bothering me when I'm looking at them, and I got this
Right.
baby case, a month-old baby murdered. And obviously I've had to look at the photographs on that. It's pretty horrific. But I look at it and I work on the cases, but then I've got other things. I just compartmentalize. I just push things down. And of course, I'm not at work all the time. I have a family.
Right.
I have church. I have parents over in New Bern. And so I do other things too. But I can tell you, even though I push it down inside of me, I must be really still thinking about it a lot, because at nighttime I'll dream about it.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll have these dreams that and I will wake up a lot during the night, it seems like. And I'll be dreaming about things from work.
Right.
Obviously, it's subconsciously still bothering me. And I'll think about it. Then when you wake up, it's hard to go back to sleep, because then you're thinking about it. And that's right, frankly. But in the daytime right now, I mean, I got all this stuff. I got a lot of stuff, but right now,
it's just bouncing around, right?
Yeah. I'm just not really concentrating on
your dreams. How many of them are really old, recurring nightmares, or not nightmares, dreams, if you want to call them that, from years and years ago, perhaps?
I will. I'll have some cases or some things with the DA's office from years ago. And one of the recurring dreams will be like I'm in court on a certain case. And even though I've already done that case years ago, so it's done. But in my dream, I'm not prepared. Or I'm sitting there and it's just like I've not got everything ready to go, even though I know in real life I did. Mm-hmm. But obviously there's just something I'll dream. And those are dreams too, because you're very anxious in your dreams. You cannot get peace in your dreams because you're not prepared. And you wake up, you're just so glad it was only a dream. But I've also noticed when I have those type dreams, the next day I'm in the office working on something really hard to make sure I'm not in that situation where I'm unprepared.
Yes.
Can understand that.
And I think with law enforcement, we have a lot of that too, because there's always just things just pending on you, always just hanging over you.
Right.
And you can't address everything all the time, but it's still in the back of your mind. Because you're in law enforcement, you're having to work on so many cases at one time too. Mm-hmm. And some of them are more pressing than others. And some of them it's hard to solve. You feel like you can't ever complete the task. And I've got some like that where we haven't made arrest on something, but I kind of have an idea who did it, but don't have enough evidence. Those are uncompleted tasks that I have to deal with.
Some really old cases from around this neck of the woods that I was involved in that you guys ended up solving after I was long gone from here. And one of them involved a murder up here on Western Boulevard that was in the county at the time. And it happened to be a Marine killing a Marine. And the Marine that was the killer went on to become a cop.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
I tried that case.
I know you did.
Wait.
Happened in September 1972.
Oh, well, that's why I don't know.
And we tried him, Mike Mossman and I tried him together, and we tried him in, let me think, it was May of 2010.
Yes.
I don't remember that. He became a cop.
He was a police chief at the time. You tried him, right?
I think he retired, but he'd gone to Cape Carteret and Bellhaven.
Yep.
Wasn't there a woman involved in all this?
Yes, it was.
I remember.
The Marine who got killed was living with the other Marine's wife.
Yep. Right.
And that Marine, the victim, had just come back from Okinawa. This was during the Vietnam era.
Uh-huh.
And that happened. Gosh, Ray, for you say that.
And M16 was involved in that.
That's right.
And that's when they cut up the brass.
And that's when Western Boulevard was a 2-lane road.
Yep. And was not in the city limits. City limits stopped at Belfork Road.
That's right. And there were actually a couple Marines who came up after the homicide. They found the victim there. Of course, this is before cell phones, so they had to drive all the way down to the corner of Gum Branch and 17.
So a payphone?
There's like a payphone there. It's a car place where they still work on cars there. It's right across from Burger King.
Yep. Yes.
And I don't know the name of the place, but that's where they went to get a payphone.
A guy named George owned it.
Used to be a motel right beside it.
Still I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Still is.
Well, I guess there is one just before you get there on the right. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know if it's the same one.
It used to be called the Rex Motor Inn. I don't know what it is now, but
and Ray, for you, remember there used to be a motel across the street from the police department, like around Circle Drive.
Circle Drive Motel. Well, it wasn't a motel. It was like an apartment type place,
right?
And folks lived there.
Wasn't it?
Howard
Johnson.
Howard Johnson was there, but around there was Circle Drive because there was a circle there. Mm-hmm. And I did 2 cases over there. One was a suicide. One was wasn't suicide, but it was overdose, but she died and tragic death during the wintertime. Turned the heat up to about 85 and wasn't found for 5 days.
Wow.
Oh yeah, that was a fun one. And then there was the one that the maids came in and cleaned the room like you wouldn't believe. And then as they were cleaning it, the last place they checked was the closet with a body in it.
I remember you talking
They
about
had
that
sanitized
story.
the room.
Yes.
And I was with Dr. Gable when we found turned out to be a fairly crucial piece of evidence to identify her.
Wow.
And her name was implanted on her dentures.
Wow. Okay.
Remember that case?
I didn't do that one. I don't
Her
recall.
name was Beck. When they pulled the dentures, her name was on it, Beck, and started running it. And it was a tracked the guy down to being a truck driver, overnighted. And she apparently was one of our locals, an older one of our locals too. And couldn't get anything on him for years and years and years. And he was in Tennessee. He was from Tennessee. I think he was in Tennessee.
Wow. That's a while back. That's a few minutes ago.
There are things that sometimes you just remember, really old cases, and of all those,
I only remember because I remember you was talking about them in the past, but I remember now that you're talking about that hotel, that her being in the closet.
And before the days, way back when there was a place, what we called the Pontiac dealer, the Buick and Pontiacs, they called them Pontiacs in those days. Some people did. Found a guy behind the dealership there, and blood was way up on the wall, and his head had been caved in with a concrete block.
Oh, wow.
Apparently he had been lured back there with a promise of whatever, and he was attacked, robbed. He put up a fight, and they killed him.
Okay.
Wow. I can remember doing one from a motel across the street from Jacksonville Police Department. The victim's name was Arlene Pickle.
Arlene Pickle.
And the defendant's name was Daniel Armijo.
Was he?
And he later went to Louisiana, Mississippi, Louisiana, committed an armed robbery, was placed in Angola State Prison. And then some more evidence came up. He was charged. I tried the case, and Chuck Henry was the defense attorney.
I'm trying to remember Pickle.
Wow.
Her name was Arlene Pickle.
Where was her body?
It was also in a closet.
Okay.
She had a bag around her.
It's going to be the same one.
Because I don't remember. I remember Pickle.
Yeah, Beck was on her. That was her.
Yeah.
One original name that was on it. That was on her dentures.
Well, and to show how long ago, because you'll know all these people. Ed Brown was an investigator.
Absolutely.
Paul Buchanan was an investigator. And Delma Collins.
Hey, Paul, I know you're listening.
And Delma Collins. And wow, that was a while back. Paul Buchanan testified in that case. Did a great job testifying. So that case was about 18 to 20 years old when I tried it. It was an old case.
Those are tough ones. And
he was convicted of second-degree murder, went off to prison. Apparently, this was something interesting about that case, too. After he fled here, I had to try to establish a timeline of some sort. He got stopped in Aiken, South Carolina for speeding. Now, this is, almost 2 decades later. The trooper, though, still had his citation.
Oh, really?
And that trooper had, left highway patrol down there forever. And he came in and testified.
Wow.
And so at least I could put a timeline which showed that, back it up, it was about, he had left here immediately, started heading south.
Right.
And so
he was a truck driver, right?
Yeah. I can't remember what his job was, to be honest with you. I just don't remember now.
I want to say truck driver.
Yeah, and it may have been, I just don't remember. But he went down to commit an armed robbery in Louisiana, fled into Mississippi, got in a shootout with law enforcement. No one got injured. And then he was tried and convicted for armed robbery in Louisiana, got sentenced to Angola State Penitentiary.
Wow.
Those old cases.
That was a long time ago. He's probably out by now, though, because that was under fair sentencing.
Yeah.
And he's already served his time. I mean, I had to look it up. Daniel Armijo was his name.
Remember the name.
Have you had any luck? Have you had any new evidence or anything come to light on some of your cold cases?
As a matter of fact, I'm working one over not in Onslow at this moment, but I've got one in Duplin where we've had some DNA come up. And I met with the I said Duplin, I meant Sampson. I was with the SBI last week on that one. And so we're looking at that. And that's an old case. we have a lot of cases where bodies will be located generally out in the woods, usually by hunters. And then we'll find out, obviously it looks like it's foul play. And then trying to identify that person and trying to connect them to some crime. That happens quite a bit in my district.
Do you know if any of the bones that were recently found over by the fitness place, did they ever come back and say whether that was human or animal? Do you know?
I've not been told. I've not been contacted, so I just don't know yet. I saw that as well. They've not contacted me about that one. But I get called a lot to go talk to law enforcement. We'll try to, because first we got to figure out who the person is.
Right.
And that sometimes takes a while. And then after that, then tie them. Were they missing? Or, and if it's not from here, from somewhere else, which, got a whole nation here. And just trying to figure out who this person may be. And, particularly Onslow County is such a transient area. It doesn't necessarily mean that if you're found here, you're from here. You could be from anywhere.
That's right.
And then we have a lot of cases, particularly in duplicate sampling, dealing with drugs. And we don't know if those people are from around here either. Or if it's just
even from this country.
Even from this country, we don't know. They could be from anywhere, and we just don't know. So we deal with a lot of that. Those cold cases are difficult. I mean, they're difficult. The longer you go, the more difficult it is to try to solve. I've done 3 of them, 2 by trial, 1 by guilty plea, and all of them are just so challenging. I mean, like the one from 1972, I'm trying this thing in 2010, and I'm asking the question, I think it was September 16th. So let me direct your attention to September 16th, 1972. Yeah. I mean, it's just strange, you're having to talk about something happening forever ago.
I would imagine that, and that was in 2010?
In 2010.
From 1972.
From 1970, 38
Did
years
you
old.
have any people on the jury or on the jury panel that were perhaps not even born in 1972?
Oh, absolutely. 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 And, and you would remember, Rayford, this was way before my time, but just seeing some of the pictures from that area being a 2-lane road, and then the hospital was just being built.
It was, had not been constructed.
It was being worked on. And because there were some pictures, they'd take pictures that we had up and down the road there. And then over where the community college is, there was like one little building out there.
That's how it started.
And the only thing on that road of any significance was down there where the shopping center is, down there near 24, that's still there.
New River.
And there was a bar down there called the Red Devil. Do you remember that by chance? I remember that came up in testimony.
I remember Devil's Den.
It was called Red Devil Tavern or Red Devil Bar. And it was over there just before you get 24 on Western Boulevard.
Yeah.
And it's probably been long forgotten, but it was mentioned in that case because one of the witnesses had been there. It's called Red Devil. I just remember that. So
I remember Devil's Den being there, down there towards the end of Western too.
I don't know. It really wasn't my turf.
Was
so,
it?
Unless I got called
to
go help the sheriff's office or something. That wasn't me.
And I just think of all the number of bars and taverns that have been in Onslow County since the 1940s when the base got here.
Right.
I can picture and name a bunch of them that were on Court Street and or that area, not New Bridge Street.
I'm trying to think of the man's name that owned Pizza Inn. He also owned. Was he the one that owned? I don't know. I can't, that's going way, way back. And we have a phone call, and it's probably Charlie.
Oh, I need to listen.
Yes.
Happy almost Christmas. Good morning.
Hey guys, it is Charlie.
Hey, Charles.
Listen, I'm catching the tail end. This gentleman is a prosecutor, correct?
He is the district attorney.
Yeah, fascinating guy, extremely intelligent. Like I said, I've only watched like the last 10 minutes of what you guys put together. Great respect for him. I don't know. I have an odd question. Have you ever run into anyone like at a restaurant that you've ever prosecuted? A defendant?
Great question.
I will guarantee you he's going to answer. You betcha.
I have. Yes, sir. I have.
Hide the forks.
So I've had countless occasions in my 4 counties where someone's come up to me and they'll say, "You don't remember me, do you?" And I don't know where this is going. I don't know if it's good or bad because sometimes I can't tell the way they're acting. But yes, sir, I've had that. But actually, I will tell you, there's one time there a guy came up to me. He did say, "You don't remember me, do you?" And he didn't act very nice at the moment. And I thought, oh my gosh, where is this about to head? But then he did say, he started smiling and he said, "Look, you prosecuted me years ago for breaking in some places." He says, "I was pretty hot at you at the time, but I did my time. I got out. He said, I've made my life right. I've gone to school. I've got me a job. I've got married. I got me a little girl. He said, had I not been prosecuted, I probably would have either landed up dead or in prison for the rest of my life.
Wow.
But that doesn't always happen. I've had some that were not very nice who were actually, I was a little bit scared of them because they were thinking they were wrongfully prosecuted by my office or me.
Of course.
And some are not particularly nice. But that's a great question. I don't think I've ever been asked that, sir. Great question.
Well, listen, I only caught the last. I've watched the last 10 minutes. I'm going to rewind it and watch this. I'm fascinated by this guy. He reminds me of the actor Jeff Daniels.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
There's an interesting story about this prosecutor. So I'm going to watch the rest of this interview. I may call back, but I am fascinated by this character. Not character, obviously. I'm fascinated by you. I'm fascinated by when you guys asked him, how do you take your job home? You see so much horrible stuff. You experience so much. How you compartmentalize? Right. Yeah, it's got to be bizarre if you've got like a family life and you've got your wife, your kids, how it all works out. You see so much horror, horrible things. Anyway, I'm going to watch. Maybe I'll call you guys back, but I'm fascinated by this guy.
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate you calling. And sir, look, you're always welcome to come down to the district attorney's office. I'm at 602 Ann Street. You're always welcome.
I'm sure you're going to help me. So I'm not going to say nothing.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you for calling. I really appreciate your calling. Again, I've never actually been asked that question before. Thank you.
That's an excellent question.
Thank you, Charlie.
That's a great
I never
question.
thought
I
about
like
that.
Charlie, I'm not sure which state he's in. It's not North Carolina.
Oh, it's not?
He
Okay.
comes from,
Yeah, he's one of our
area.
out-of-state viewers.
Yeah, it's the same thing with cops. When long ago, somebody will walk up and say, "Hey, you don't remember me, do you?"
Yeah.
And that's because you're like this, but law enforcement's a little bit more hands-on and with individuals quite often. The first thing I do, and I know a whole lot of others do the same thing, you take a little bit of slow step backwards and put your weak side leaning towards that guy so you can be prepared to take whatever action is necessary if it should become necessary. So far, I've never had it become necessary.
I never have either. And I've had some pretty threatening, but they'd never actually touched me. Pretty threatening. I had one guy one time, I prosecuted his brother for first-degree murder, actually the death penalty. He got the death penalty. But I ran into his brother. I didn't know his brother. And the brother actually saw me at a restaurant and came up to me. And I was trying to leave. And he said, "You don't know me, do you?" And I said, "No, sir, I don't." And he said some profanity. And he said, "Well, you put my brother in prison." And so I said, "Well, sir," I said, "I don't recall you." I said, "I remember the case. And I just hope you have a good day." That's all I could. And then he started following me. And so what I did is I got his tag number and I turned it into law enforcement. And come to find out, sure enough, his brother was on death row.
Oh.
Well,
but I don't know what his intent was.
About the time he started following me, then we would have had to have the discussion.
Yes. And that's when it became a little, more scary. Because, a lot of these people, they, obviously it's the biggest things that ever happened in their life. Many times I don't even remember their cases. I don't remember them because I've done so many. But to them, it's the biggest thing ever.
Of course.
I guess I'm more concerned, though, frankly, about that person. Now, I get a lot of letters from prison, some threatening, some not. But I'm always more concerned, Brayford, about the defendant. I don't even remember. But of course, it was the biggest thing ever happened to them. It may be in like a relatively minor case to me. But then all of a sudden I run into them and I don't remember anything about them, even remember the case. And because those are kind of catch you by surprise then.
I have, having worked in television news for so long and doing so many interviews, somebody would come up to me and would say, "You don't remember me, do you?" I said, "Honestly, you're always most standard. You look kind of familiar, but you know what? I meet so many people, and sometimes my brain gets a little foggy." And they say, "Well, yeah, you interviewed me one time." "Yeah, you and about 4 million others."
That's right.
In my head, and I said, "Yeah, okay. What was it about?" And if they give me enough, quite often, if it was significant enough, yeah,
you'll remember.
Yeah.
But it's hard just out of the blue, especially if you're not expecting to see that person.
That's right.
And I have that a lot too. Where
And
people come up
especially if
to
it
me.
happens to be a woman who changes their appearance every
Hey,
other
hey,
day.
hey. We have the right to do that. So I changed my hair color again. Okay.
Can't vote ever.
But I know what you're saying. It's because we deal with so many people, both in law enforcement as
Mhm.
prosecutors, because a lot of them are witnesses, victims, jurors, and just people, defendants, people, many of which I just don't recall.
You kicked me off that jury. You wouldn't let me
Yeah.
stay there. Why?
But I'm
I
not.
don't
Gonna,
know.
Oh,
Well, I do have some. I had one come up to me just a few weeks ago and said, I served on one of your juries. Wow, this jury must have been 15 years ago. And they remembered. And I said, which case was it? And when they started talking about it, I remembered it. And I thought, wow, this 15 years ago, and that person still remembered it. We talked about it. And it's amazing how much they remembered from the deliberations and everything, the evidence and everything, because it was a huge thing for them.
well, I have a question.
Sure.
I watch a lot of live court on YouTube. I'm
And I don't, but go ahead.
She's
Right.
hooked.
I'm
I
addicted.
kind of live it, so I don't watch it, but go ahead.
I've been watching the Kohlberger, all
Yes.
the appeals and all that other stuff. And some
Right.
of it's just ridiculous. But, and I've watched the Karen Reed case in Massachusetts, which that's going to be retried. And in more cases like the suitcase murder, the woman who zipped her boyfriend up in a suitcase and left him there. And he died as a result of it. So,
Suffocated.
but does Onslow County allow TV cameras to come in there and
In court,
in the court?
it's within the discretion of the judge. In North Carolina, there's not a rule that's absolutely prohibited. It's simply in the discretion of the judge. Most courts, most judges will allow them in the courtroom.
Right.
Under limited conditions.
Yeah, limited conditions. You
Right.
cannot show the jurors.
Cannot show the jury.
You got to put them all in one. They usually have have one camera
Right.
and
It's
just one
called
camera.
a pool camera.
Pool-
and
that's
exactly a pool
and
camera.
everybody gets access to it.
And they'll usually put them over in the corner. I've noticed though, because sometimes our trials go so long, there's no way the press can stay there the entire time. So they'll come in and get some footage, come back during it, then try to be there at the end.
Right.
But
Right.
yes, you can have cameras in there.
Just curious.
But
And I'm fine either way. I've done it with cameras, without
Right.
cameras. The argument is that the cameras there, people going to act differently. I can't tell that I do because I just forget they're there. I just don't remember
I
they're
have
even
a
there.
question from a listener.
Okay.
He wants to know if citizens can be arrested for threatening retired special agents. I know he is state authority, just curious. And that came from our retired Secret Service friend.
Yes. I mean, in North Carolina, there's a criminal offense as a misdemeanor, communicate threats. That is a misdemeanor. Then, of course, depending on what they're doing, if you have any type of stalking, that's another offense, which could be up to a felony. But yes, we do have, it makes no difference who you are, because if you communicate a threat, we have a general communicating threat statute.
The crime is against the individual,
Right.
but it's against the state of North Carolina officially.
Exactly.
What if he's federal? It would be against.
If it's based upon a federal, not just because he's a federal agent, but state, yeah, you can prosecute him, but the feds, depending upon what it was, if he went after this agent because of a case he's involved in the past,
That's right.
yeah, the feds would be involved in that
That's
one.
right.
Makes sense.
So we have a lot of threat cases in my district, just like everywhere.
Well, what do you do with people who, because, the way the world is today, I could get in a confrontation with somebody in a grocery store, let's say, and they could say, I'm going to kick your
Backside.
backside. And then I run down and say, I want this a person for communicating a threat. Do you get a lot of that?
Yes,
A lot of trivial stuff?
we do. And it's generally what you just said.
Now,
We
the
get a lot
first
of that.
question that's going to be asked, did you really feel like he or she was going to do that?
That's
to
it.
you?
Because it's got to be reasonable. If
Right.
you reasonably believe it's going to occur.
Right.
If the person is 2 feet 3 inches tall and says, I'm going to beat your head in. Right.
Right.
Or if you
No,
make it
I'm just
conditional.
asking, do you get a lot of
We
that?
get a lot of those. And also we have a lot of conditional threats. That way they really aren't really truly threats, because they'll say, if you do
Yep.
this,
Right.
I may do, I will do this.
People
We
have
hear
a
a lot.
tendency just to go off crazy
Oh.
these days.
Yeah.
You go to district court here across my 4 counties, across all 100 counties, you have a lot of communicating threats cases.
Mm.
And because in this state, you can just go to the magistrate's office and have a warrant taken out as a citizen. We don't
with no police
with
investigation.
no police investigation. Now, do I think that's a great system? No, I don't. And because we have a lot of things like that, it can be, where the cases really are going to be very difficult to prove. You don't know the background of why this was happening. And you get to court, a lot of them get thrown out. Not all, but a lot.
I would imagine.
Yeah, poor magistrates hear one side.
Yeah, they hear one side.
Yeah, I
and
know
it may or may
that.
not be the truth. They hold their hand up and swear to God that, yes, it's the truth.
That's
But,
right.
And
the magistrate, though, really, they don't know for sure because they weren't there, but they've got to make a decision. More than likely, they're going to go with the victim, the person making the complaint, because what if?
Right.
It really did happen the way they said. We got to make sure that victim's protected.
Right.
But we'll kind of go through those at court, and we can kind of weed them out. And lots of times, unfortunately, victims will take out warrants and not show up for court. I don't like that. I do not
Waste
like
of
that.
court's time.
It is a lot of
Waste of time and money.
is there any way to go after them?
If we can prove they made a false report, but again, that's got to be investigated, and it just takes a lot
Is
of
it worth
resources to do that. Yeah,
No, I move for dismissal. You got it. Goodbye.
that's right. So lots of times we don't do anything; we just dismiss them and move on because we got 100 other cases behind it.
Now, if you work really hard, how many total homicide cases?
Then we have 45,
45.
in my district.
So of those 4 counties,
Mhm.
could we not pick a central location and build a big courtroom,
Yeah.
maybe 4 of them, and 1 courthouse, and start bringing these people in from each of the counties and have 4 trials going at the same time?
Well, I guess probably not.
Murder case.
Because the
Murder-
legislature's
murder
not
court.
going to get
We have
us
drug
that.
courts. Why can't we have a murder court?
Yeah. And it's probably not going to happen because they're going to say, look, you already have a courtroom in every county. Just use that.
Uh-huh.
But it would be good if we could just maybe have a judge assigned, that could just knock out one murder after the other. That would be good.
Well, here's a problem that you guys have told me about before, and I've witnessed before. You don't know how long this murder case is going to last. You may get up there and say, okay, I'm planning on this one looks like we've got 5 witnesses and, a little bit of evidence here, a little bit. And the defense says they've got 3 witnesses that said he didn't do it. Okay, that's a 5-day event.
Mm-hmm.
So you can start it on Monday. Then suddenly by Monday afternoon, Your Honor, we're going to take a plea.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what do you do with the rest of the week that you've booked out?
We usually have other pleas come in.
Please. That's
Yeah,
when you start
because usually
taking
there's
pleas.
enough people in jail
Okay.
that want to come in. We usually are able to use that extra time, but sometimes you can't. And also, what you said, you don't really know how long these things are going to last. I mean, I tried
That's
one
2
over in
weeks.
Sampson County, lasted 8 weeks.
Ouch.
I never anticipated that. It was a capital case. A guy killed his family, but I just didn't really expect that. The jury selection took over 4 weeks.
Oh, wow.
So then the trial was over 3.5, but we're about 3.5. But it was just a lot. Mike Malsby just tried one. It started in November 4th. I'm sorry, November 4th, and ended December the 11th, I think it was.
Oh, Lord.
And that was a non-capital case. But what happened? There was a jury issue come up. They already had 15 jurors selected. Jury issue come up. The judge released all those jurors. They started over.
Oh,
But Mike got a conviction on it. He did a tremendous job on the case and got a conviction.
He's
very good.
He's
Mike
very
and I
good
tried to
one.
bunch together, and we tried a lot
Yes.
separately.
Yes.
But he is very good.
Yes, I agree with. Last time I saw him not long ago, it looked like he had lost some weight. You working him too hard.
Maybe so. He has lost some weight, though.
Yes, I noticed. I was like, is that Mike Malsby?
Yeah.
He looks good though, Mr. Malsby. You look
He's been
great.
around 32 years with me.
Yeah.
We've been
You
together
worn
32
him
years.
down.
I've been married 34. I've been with Mike 32, so almost as long as I've been married.
I
Good
remember
gracious.
when
That's
we
together
together a
a
long
60
time.
bunch of years.
Yeah, he came in 92, September of 92, and I came in January of 87.
I remember when you came to this area.
Okay, well, you got one cold case here, and I can't remember it. Morton.
Yeah.
We have got to get that solved.
Still
2014,
being
15, something like that.
I will meet, I can't say regularly because whenever law enforcement has something, but they'll come up and occasionally, it's been a year now since they've met with me at least, but that they'll come up with something, come meet with me.
Mm-hmm.
And, but it's just not enough.
I know the sheriff's office actively works on cold cases.
Oh, yeah, they got this one under.
Yes. And I
working on it
know
heavy.
In the class I was in, I asked them about that particular one, and they said they were still working on it. And it was just that one right there.
So they got some leads, but this, I guess, trying to get enough evidence to tie
It
all those
is,
leads
it
together
is.
Yes.
is
It
that's
is.
in your area, right?
Yeah,
It'll
it is.
happen.
It's
One day
I'm
it'll
hoping
happen.
it will. And you know what they'll do many times, law enforcement, they'll have someone work it for quite a while.
Right.
Then they'll get somebody else to get some fresh eyes on
Mhm.
it. And we do that a lot. But I'll do the same thing. I'll bring a prosecutor in that's never even heard about it and have them sit with me, let them hear it for the first time. Got a phone
That's
call?
good. It's Joy. Joy Likens. Joy to the world. I'm glad you called, Joy.
Yeah, Joey, how are you?
Morning. How are y'all?
Oh, we're cold. How are you doing? You good?
Good. Good morning, Mr. Lee.
Good morning. How are you doing, ma'am?
I'm doing fine, thank you. Real quick question. Have they ever considered, or I don't remember, night court for those cases that don't take up all the time for the important cases during the day?
Man, that's a really good question. Yes, ma'am. It has been considered. But I just tell you, it's an issue, though, with the clerk's office, also an issue with the sheriff's office, the bailiffs, because it takes a lot of people to operate court. And we'd had to have more resources to do that. And you also have to have a dedicated judge that be prepared to do it at night.
Yep.
Now, for jurors, it might be actually better because we're not missing work, but
Right.
at nighttime.
Right.
But I mean, look, I work so much anyway, I could do it. I could be there at nighttime. I'm sure some of my prosecutors could. But there's always been that issue about trying to make sure you, with limited resources, watch out for the clerks who also have families,
Mhm.
the bailiffs, sheriff's office, law enforcement, all the people that are involved
Right.
in cases. I know some states do it. New York does it. They have a night court. Those are going to be generally going to be misdemeanor type cases,
Sure.
not felonies. But yeah, that's something that we've actually talked about. It's not actually going on anywhere in the state of North Carolina. There's just a lack of resources.
Can you in district court? Do you have enough? You can get through those cases generally fairly quickly, right? Most of them are traffic.
Yeah, most are
oriented.
traffic, so it only takes, a short amount of time to do one. I mean, I can go into a speeding case and,
Mhm.
less than a minute. I talk to the person very, very quickly and reduce it down for them to help them out. But yeah, I think the other day that we had like 700 cases in one day. That's a lot.
Oh, Lord.
700.
Yeah, and I can tell you, Johnson County, one of my prosecutors went over to this new e-court starting in February. She went over to train with them. They had 1,600 cases scheduled that Friday.
Oh, wow.
And so there are so
Well, I
many
was just
traffic.
thinking about a wage possibly. I did think about personnel also. I knew that it would take extra personnel, which is very difficult at this time, but it was just something I was thinking some of the more important cases
Yeah.
could maybe get up quicker if there happen to be those minor cases that could go up at night. Just a thought that had crossed my mind listening to you.
Ma'am, I like the question.
Do.
I like you're being proactive. I like that. That's a very good proactive
Now,
question.
That's when I'd like TV cameras in the courtroom
He's
for
not.
night court.
He's not going to like me being proactive because Joey, I got a solution for some of it too. Why don't you just let the police officers accept the guilty plea when they make the arrest and just be
Well,
done with it? Send it up on their computers. Done.
Yeah, that would be a very quick way to do it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, we just got some.
That-
You've probably got some constitutional issues we're
You
going
want
to
to
deal
plead
with.
guilty now or later?
Yeah, we got some constitutional
You're
issues.
You're right.
That's
I
right.
was doing it. I'm guilty. Let me pay now.
Get it over with.
Right, well,
Get it over with.
sometimes that would work, maybe. You know,
I know it would.
Go ahead and plead it out.
So, Joey, have you ever got to serve on a jury? Joey, have you ever got to serve on a jury?
Yet.
Jinxed.
You know what?
I'm
I've always wanted to be picked on a jury. I was born and raised here, and I've never been picked.
Oh my gosh.
I got her name, her number, and her address.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Hey, he
How
knows
does
my
that
husband,
work?
Donald. He knows how to get up with me if he wants to.
Yeah, he
He
does.
knows Donald.
Donald Weatherington.
Yeah, yeah, I sure do. Sure do.
But
Yeah.
look, that was just something that crossed my mind.
Well, great
and thank you
question.
for what you do, and Merry Christmas to everyone. And
Thank you, Joey.
Thank
Merry
you,
Christmas.
Joey.
Joey, Merry Christmas to you, ma'am. I love your name. You got a great name for Christmas.
I got her name on our front wall out there.
And what does it stand for? Do you remember what I told you, Rayford?
Joy to the world.
No.
J is
Jesus,
for
others, and yourself.
There you go.
That's right. Very good.
Thank you,
I
Joey.
like it.
Have a good one.
Have
Best
a
of
good one.
Donald.
Merry Christmas, Joy. Bye-bye.
Well, I have another question from a listener for Ernie.
Okay.
Do you prosecute a fair share of women? And if so, what are the main charges they are convicted on?
Wow, that's a good question. Yes, I mean, considering 50% of the population is women, We do. Most of my cases involving women through the years have been drugs. It's been drug-related offenses, usually possession of cocaine, possession of heroin, things such as that, possession of meth. When I first became a prosecutor, I had a substantial number of prostitution cases from the Court Street area, but I don't have any more of those. So I had some fraud cases with some women too. But I'm trying to think. I've only prosecuted, I think, 2 women for homicide in all the years.
Really?
I just personally haven't had a lot.
See, you talk bad about us. We women,
You get away with it, is what it is.
Yeah.
get away with it.
So I have done some of those, but mostly it's going to be drug cases.
Yeah, I'm trying to
Yes.
remember any.
That's a good question.
Those are
Interesting.
great. I've never been asked that question either. Boy, some great questions today.
I know it.
I'm
Some
trying to
very good
remember
questions.
any females murder cases.
No, we
There
got
were not a lot.
Chris Marks calling now.
There are not a lot of them.
What kind of question? What kind
There's
of
no
question?
Chris Marks, there's no
Come
telling
on,
what kind
Chris.
of question Chris is going to come up with. Hey, Chris.
Morning.
Good morning, Rayford and Ernie.
Yes,
Merry
sir.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas, sir.
Good to see. I only get to really see Ernie, fortunately, from my standpoint, at our Crime Stopper annual luncheon, where we like to recognize Ernie because of his valuable contributions to Onslow County, among the that Ernie serves. And I just want to say, we also have one of the most understanding wives I know.
She is
Known
sweet.
his wife
Yes.
many moons ago, and they have a wonderful family. And I know Ernie works many hours that people don't even realize. Besides his different counties he has to drive to, and the hours that he's putting in his office and with his staff. And they're wonderful staff, by the way, Ernie. You call them and get questions asked as much as they can within the legal system. They're just wonderful people. I just wanted to compliment you.
I appreciate that, sir.
And your staff.
I thank you very much, sir.
You are probably going to go down as one of the best district attorneys we've had in this. As far as serving on a jury, I finally had the honor to do it. I always wondered when I was going to get picked, and I got to serve as a jury foreperson with Chuck Henry.
Wow.
And I got to tell you,
Wow.
when you get in the jury room or in the room to deliberate, it's very interesting to sit in there and listen to what the prosecutor has versus what the defense has shown, and it's not always cut and dry. Sometimes you're going to have somebody that's going to go, I don't know about that, and then you have a chance to sit down and discuss with jurors and ultimately come up with the correct that the jurors come up with.
Yeah. Well, I've never had the pleasure of serving. They won't let me. I've been kicked off 3 juries.
I've been called many of a time, but I never served. You're excused.
I do know this, and then I'll let you go. It's a very interesting process as they're picking the jurors.
Yes, sir.
And asking them questions. And sometimes you sit there and go, I wonder how that person really got picked. But I was fortunate to serve and look forward to doing it again. But Ernie, thank you so much for your continued great efforts in the many counties that you represent. God bless you. God bless Rayford Lee. And again, to your wife, she's a treasure.
Thank you,
Yes,
sir. I
she
appreciate
is.
that.
Thank you,
She
Chris.
is
Thank you,
great.
Chris. And I hope you have a wonderful Christmas, you
Merry
and your family,
Christmas, sir.
sir. Thank you, sir.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
I got another
Bye.
question for you.
Okay, and he's going to go.
I know.
he's got
Ask
work to
why
do.
it's so hard to make HOAs comply with state laws.
Oh, you don't even want to
HOAs.
go there.
You don't do a lot. You don't
No,
deal with
I
that,
don't
though.
deal
That's
with
a
that.
civil
I didn't
matter.
think
It's
so.
civil matter. So I mean, it's
Yes.
a good question, but it's just something I don't deal with.
Not unless the
Sorry,
one
Frank.
party or the other gets out there with a baseball
Right.
bat, goes to work.
Oh, they're just, I
It'd be a mess.
I'm so grateful.
Ernie, thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you for
You're-
having me.
Were you in the play this year at Bethlehem Baptist?
The Easter play.
No, didn't you do a Christmas one
No,
last year?
I was not in the Christmas. I was in the Easter play.
That's right. It was Easter.
Yeah, called The Victor.
That's right.
I think we're going to do it again this year.
Oh, good.
Around, of course, around
He can
Easter.
act too.
I always play a Roman soldier.
A Roman soldier.
Yeah, not very nice either. I don't have any lines, but I mean, I come up my own, and not really scripted, but it's a pretty intense play. We're supposed to do it again this year.
Have you ever heard him in court?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Woo.
I've heard him in court.
I get scared. I sit back there trembling. Ernie's going to.
I've sometimes, well, I haven't in a long time, but I have in the past. I would just go in. I'd go in whatever county I'm in, and I just walk into a courtroom and sit back in the back. And
It is
listen for a
great,
while.
isn't it? Great.
Yes.
District court is one of the most fun places to be, just to watch what happens. And I was riding a highway patrol friend of mine,
Right.
in Wilmington. He just stopped by one day, picked me up, said, "Let's ride, we'll talk." So so I did. Cops used to ride with highway patrol a lot. I did. And a lot of others did too. They're up 421 North, and some car goes come by, and he hits his radar. He's running like 75 and a 55, right? So he turns, does a U-turn, has to pick up some speed to catch a guy running 75. People don't understand that. You can't run 78 and catch him, not in this day. So he's kicking on, catching up to him, and the guy sees us coming. Obviously, he takes a left, crosses the turn lane, the other two lanes, and goes down a little dirt road. But this one of those roads has got a barricade on it, so he couldn't go far. And where were you going? What's all this about? And the guy said, "Well, I just thought I'd take a look at this road here. I wasn't trying to get away from you." So sure. And then he didn't want to sign the ticket, did not want to accept a ticket, said he's not taking the ticket. And he said, "Well, your choice is simple. Either you take the ticket or I take you down and put you under bond." He was from out of state.
Right.
And he was being one of those kinds of individuals.
Rick,
The guy ended up in court, in front of the magistrate immediately. And then I get a call. I'm just at lunch. And he said, he's demanded a speedy trial this afternoon, 1 o'clock, be there. And I said, "Oh, you've got to be kidding." And he got up and told a tale. Nope, that trooper did not have his blue lights on. He didn't have this. He didn't have that. So the trooper had to witness me. And I had to testify. Judge Johnny Walker. Have you ever met him?
I never met him, sir.
No nonsense.
I've
And
seen
this
the
guy,
name, though.
this guy stood up and told the judge that the trooper didn't have his blue lights on. The trooper said he did, and I said he did. And Johnny Walker stood up, put his hands on the bench, and I could see the white in his knuckles. He said, "Do you mean to tell me," he's a good Southern boy, "that you are telling me that one of my state troopers is in this courtroom lying to me? You're guilty.
Yeah.
Pay the bailiff."
Oh, I just want to.
Pay the clerk.
I just want to go.
Justice, wasn't it?
It was like, you just screwed up, bud.
I just want to go back real quick. And when I meant that I watched him in court and he's a powerhouse, I meant that in a good way. It was like being in an episode of Law and Order. It was really good.
When I'm in court, I'm on.
Yes.
I'm on.
He is just like.
I am on. And
They wind you up and turn you loose, right?
yeah, because actually, in real life, I'm
Right.
kind of quiet.
Right.
But when I'm in court, I'm on.
Right.
Look, that's my chance to make sure that justice is done.
Ernie, we're going to let you go because I'm sure
Yes,
we
I've
have
got a
lot to
hours
do
all
today.
day. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
Because we're off the
Thank
next
you.
few days.
Merry Christmas to you.
Yeah, it was
Have a
so
great
good
one.
to see you. Oh my gosh, it's so good to see you.
It's hug time.
Thank you for
My
having
best
us
to
this morning.
Misty and the family
Yes,
too.
sir.
I certainly
I
will.
haven't talked to her in a while.
Well, thank you so
She
much
is
for
something
having
else.
me. I always enjoy coming. I'll come in real soon in 2025. How about
Yes,
that?
Thank you.
we'll keep you.
Y'all
We'll
have
keep-
a
we'll
good
keep you.
day, okay?
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Got the cutest puppy here.
He's a mess.
Our puppy is a cute one.
Bye, y'all.
All right,
Bye-bye.
bye.
All right, let's see. We'll take a quick call, but we got a lot of commercials and
It's
weather
Charlie.
makeup too. Hey, Charlie, you're back. Sorry.
Hey, is Ernie still there?
No, he just left. He's on a schedule, and we kept him overtime already.
Yes.
All right. Well, I'm going to watch the show. Maybe I'll call back.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Thanks.
Marine forecast for Christmas week. That's this week, y'all. Good gracious, 48 hours from now, we will be up and screaming and hollering and carrying on. Right now, I'll be drinking hot chocolate. It's brought to you by Community Prevention Services of Jacksonville. Most people love Christmas. They gather with family, with friends. They get to see those old acquaintances from years ago. There are others who really enjoy Christmas, but there could be an event associated with Christmas from the past that suddenly pops up and it brings heartache to them. The loss of a loved one on or about Christmas. I've had 2 of those. A tragic situation involving a friend, a spouse giving you the bad news that they're leaving. While Christmas had nothing to do with the event or events perhaps that caused the heartache, many of us tend to associate some events, many of them tragic ones, with the Christmas, our birthdays, or other holidays. When those days roll around again, old memories tend to come with them. Counselors will likely tell you that the dates of those events you would as soon forget are not important. They're right. Of course they're right. And you know they're right. If you tend to dwell on those dates, however, not remembering the good times, just the empty feelings of those dates that may have been years and years ago, this might be a good time for a refresher course. Call the folks at Community Prevention Services of Jacksonville. Set some time aside so they can help you work on the issues you're having. Chances are that your more rational side will come to the front and you'll be able to enjoy the holidays in the future, remembering the good times that happen on those dates as well as the bad times. 910-353-0972, Community Prevention Services of Jacksonville. Got a coastal low now forecast to impact the area tonight and tomorrow. High pressure then rebuilds into this area through the remainder of the week. Offshore today, looking pretty decent. Northeasterly winds 10 to 15 knots, seas 2 to 4. Sounds and rivers a moderate chop. Tomorrow, northeasterly winds 5 to 10, becoming northerly 15 to 20 with gusts to 25 in the afternoon. 2 to 4, building to 4 to 6 in the afternoon. Near shore seas 2 to 4. Sounds and rivers a light chop, becoming kind of choppy in the afternoon on Christmas Eve. Christmas Day, just stay home. Put some line on the new reel. Reload your tackle box. Northerly winds 15 to 20 knots, gust to 25 knots, seas big, 4 to 6 feet. Sounds and rivers are choppy.
Okay, and today is going to be sunny, gorgeous with a high near 49. Light north wind becoming northeast 5 to 9 miles per hour in the morning. Tonight, a chance of rain with a low around Tuesday. Morning showers are likely, mostly cloudy with a high 49, and Christmas Day, sunny with a high near 56.
Christmas is a time to celebrate the birth of Christ. We know that, right? It's when, for many, a time to celebrate with family. Whether your family is here or they're halfway across the country, you can still celebrate the season for all the right reasons. One part of celebrating is food, good food. We can all agree on that. At Jacksonville's only waterfront restaurant, Marina Cafe is happy to help you have fun on this joyous of occasions. It's where the locals can break bread with the wonderful men and women of our armed forces who may be a little too far from home to get a great meal. But you can rest assured that while it may not be mom's home cooking, the folks at Captain Bob Beck's Marina Cafe will prepare a meal you'll not be forgetting. Remember, too, there are no strangers at Marina Cafe, whether it's your first visit. Everyone is welcome. Stop in. It's casual. Have a back. The resident parrot, Lee's best friend. Stroll the waterfront. After the first time you're there, you're sure to return. Captain Bob Beck's Marina Cafe alongside the bridge on Marine Boulevard in downtown Jacksonville. You can go by today. You can go by tomorrow. You can get a gift certificate. There you go. A gift certificate from Marina Cafe for someone who may have never been there before or someone you know who likes to go there. You can't find the right gift card or a gift certificate or present for them. There's your opportunity right now. Marina Cafe, right near the bridge, at the foot of the bridge, going out of town on Marine Boulevard. Merry Christmas to all from Captain Beck's most friendly crew.
Well, my sister, if you're still listening, that's what we're going to do when you get back from Christmas vacation. We're going to go to Marina Cafe
There you
for lunch.
go. That will be a great thing
I
to be
love
doing.
that place. I really, really do.
Yeah, and Joe Jack. Joe Jack is kind of funny. I've taken a couple of pictures of Joe Jack when I was there, and he is so cool.
Remember that one time we went to the meeting there for the downtown thing, and we're sitting way back in that room, and he's somewhere around the corner, and he screamed, and I thought somebody had just gotten murdered.
He does have a way of getting your attention.
Chris Marks again. Yes. I mean, and then when we were sitting outside during the event, sitting out on the bench, and he's loose and he comes up like this, they say he likes to mess with hair. And he would look at me and I would look at him, and we had this understanding, but I didn't trust him.
I explained to him one time that,
Mm-mm.
years ago, I said, you look a whole lot like a small turkey. Keep it in
He
mind.
reminds me of that movie, The Birds.
Well, hey, Chris, you're back.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you two again here before we get Christmas Day in 2 days because of live, local, real talk and the opportunity that you give me to speak about Wreath honoring our fallen veterans, Wreath Across
Absolutely.
America.
And
in this short amount of time that we've done it so far, we are at 75 wreaths.
Really?
But
For next year?
I haven't added mine yet.
Hot dang. Hadn't added mine either. Get ready.
75. I wanted to thank Debbie Vickers. She donated 20.
Good
Bless her.
gracious.
She's a
Debbie.
school friend of mine. She's a good person. She lives in Wilmington.
Really?
Yes.
Yes,
That's
she
even
does.
better.
Yep. And by doing 20, she actually donated 50 wreaths by donating 20.
20
donating
times.
20. So again, folks, I know it's Christmas. I know you're probably about to spend out on Christmas gifts and stuff, but we do have till January 17th to try to get a lot of wreaths in this short amount of time before next 2025 is not even here yet, but we've already made a great start. What a great den it is.
What a great opportunity for for me or for you or you or y'all to pick somebody who maybe you're going to give a Christmas gift to, but you don't know what to give them and they don't want anything. They tell you they don't want anything. I'm thinking like you're thinking.
That's right.
And then go ahead and make a donation. Make a donation in their name and give them a little certificate that says you have given 2 wreaths, which will mean that you're actually giving 5 wreaths for next year.
When you go to purchase
It's in your name.
you can also purchase it in honor of, and that person does not have to be deceased.
Right. Yep.
So you can do that and then at the end print it all out and give it to someone for Christmas. I was thinking the same thing.
For you people who just can't figure out what to give somebody, what better gift could you come up with?
I think that's a wonderful gift.
All right. Got it. Done.
That
really
and
is.
go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry.
If people have a family member in there, you can make it grave specific.
Mm-hmm.
It will guarantee that your family member or whoever, your friend, they will have one on there. We got a call last week, actually a text message from someone who had purchased a wreath. I don't know where, I don't know what group, was not ours, but went to go check and see, and it was not there. And I'm not going to, we have volunteers that go out there and do it. But he ended up going out and buying some. But I went and visited Dad yesterday. And it's just sad to walk by and you're walking and see, oh man, it's a beautiful wreath,
Right.
no wreaths.
Yes.
It's very touching to see that. And to be able to stand there, as I know Lee did this to her father, Kathy. There's going to be more people wearing dress blues, by the way, next year.
Nice.
They saw Kathy wearing hers, but it's just to say their name, to stand there, lay the wreath, and then say their name. It's just very touching. So I want to thank you two again, and Kelly, for allowing me the time to come on here and do this. It's very charitable of you, and after Christmas Day, I'll still go and pick up cash or checks, because the problem is they're still processing checks in Maine from this last campaign.
Oh, wow.
So if we want to get them in to count towards the $5 for $34 offer, I will put it on my credit card. And again, if you're someone that I know, or Lee, Rayford know, I'll put it on my credit card. I'll trust you.
I'm gonna let you put it on my credit card.
I'll put it on your credit card, Chris. I don't mind.
Okay, well, done.
Right.
But again, thank you two so much.
Okay.
Chris, we have until
for your
January
17th.
17th to get the special deal.
Now, I got one question for you, at least
Yes, sir.
for today. Suppose your loved one, member of the military, is in another cemetery in Jacksonville, and we order wreaths. Can we order a wreath and then pick it up and take it to that cemetery?
It can be, you can have one shipped to your home. It's called doing a pair.
Okay.
So one will be sent to the Coastal State Veterans Cemetery, and it will be placed on their gravesite.
Got it.
Then the special one that you order, or the pair, will come to your house, and then yes, you can take it there, put it on your door, whatever you want to do. But yes, you could do that.
Yes, and
Because there are a lot of veterans over there in, for instance, Oslo Park.
well, that one year we had the overflow of wreaths
Yes, I
because
know.
a bunch were freely given. We did the cemetery across from the
Across the street,
veterans.
yep.
We did Onslow Memorial Park.
Yep.
We did a lot.
Mhm.
But there are a lot of people who buy wreaths every year to come pick up that wreath and take it to another cemetery to honor their
Okay.
loved
All right,
ones.
we'll talk about that too.
Yeah.
Just wanted to get that out there, just in case. y'all.
Yes.
That was good, Ray. For good question.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you both.
We don't talk to you.
Thanks.
Merry Christmas, but I'm
Okay.
sure tomorrow's
Merry
Christmas
Christmas.
Eve. We'll talk to you.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Yeah, I'll have your Christmas cookies tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see you. Bye. Tell you what, I'm still burning his wood, the last of his wood from last year.
Isn't that nice?
A couple of nights here.
You
It's
know-
been cold. That fire's been going in there.
Yeah, I thought about you last night. I looked at my gas fireplace and I'm like, I didn't even turn it on.
Yeah,
It's
well,
not worth it for
I
me.
turned ours on, but it's not gas.
Yes, I know. I was thinking about taking
so
the cap off of mine and opening the flue and maybe start burning some wood in there.
Fun time in Florida at a holiday drone show. Yeah, buddy.
Oh,
the
what
drones
happened?
somehow got out of control, and the first of what was supposed to be two special shows in Orlando. The unmanned, out of control flying machines started crashing into each other, then tumbling to the ground. The second scheduled show was canceled as organizers tried to figure out what went wrong. Well, oh, brilliant minds. Those demonic devices are all controlled with electronic devices operating on a different set of channels. Most of it is infra or RF frequencies, radio control frequencies. Unless it was checked in advance, some of the devices could have inadvertently been set up to operate on the same channel.
Oh,
Whoops.
okay. Oops.
Have you ever been in a sports bar or some other location with a whole bunch of TV sets that are operating? in
Yes.
there? Uh-huh. You ever seen somebody get up and say, "We want this we want this sports channel and this TV right here," and somebody will get the remote control. If they don't cover that remote control to keep it from going to other TV sets, it could change every TV set in that entire place.
And that's
with a
why
flick of a
usually
button.
the waitress has the control beyond
That's
the bar.
it. They don't give you the control because you'll be
Right.
changing all of them with the
It'd
flick of
make
a
me
button.
mad if that was the last lap on
Anyway,
a NASCAR race.
It's a different type of operation. It's infrared, but it's the same principle. If you put them all together at a drone show and all of those things start changing at the same time, it's like, what? And they start running into each other. You don't know.
Ooh.
The most powerful signal will control that drone. So that's the way it works. The TV remotes operate generally on a different type of controlling device than drones, but just imagine drones, several of them, being controlled by one device and one operator, with all devices being instructed on where to go, when to turn. Oh my, it sounds like a perfect opportunity for a devious person to create a lot of chaos. I will tell you that.
I would say so.
And some of us have, we know what those frequencies are.
Look, the
One
drones
person-
have gone crazy.
One person at the show was struck by one of those drones. Yeah.
Ouch.
An attorney is telling reporters that Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg may have screwed the feds with charges that are not normally used in the case of Luigi.
Yes.
I'll get it out there.
Yeah,
Not
I'm-
Linguini.
Yeah.
Luigi Mangione, the guy
Yes.
accused of killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Bragg brought first-degree murder charges in the case. We in North Carolina understand first-degree murder charges, but at first in New York, they're different. Other cases with the same sets of circumstances, in this case, premeditation, are generally called second degree in New York. a charge that carries life in prison in New York. First-degree murder charges have additional requirements, such as the victim has to be a police officer or a murder involving torture. New York State cases are not punishable by death. So the U.S. Department of Justice is looking at filing a charge of murder because it claims that Mangione stalked his victim, something
He did.
that was not mentioned in the state case. If convicted of the federal charge, he could be awarded the death penalty. In Bragg's first-degree murder charge, he's added that the case is an act of terror. An act of terror? A charge that most argue has nothing to do with this case
What?
and could put the screws to this case.
I don't understand that.
First-degree murder, yes. So you're a juror and you're weighing whether this guy is guilty of first-degree murder or not, yay or nay. And the only thing that would make it first-degree murder in this case is the charge that's added, an act of terror. What act of terror was involved? There was no act of terror. He stalked one individual and
he
killed
had one
him.
purpose. That's right.
That's not an act of
If he was out in the
terrorism.
Sidewalk shooting all over. That would be different.
Some people are fearful that overcharging Mangione could harm the federal government's efforts.
I still can't get past the fact that there are people hailing this guy as a hero.
Well, that's one of the other issues that they're having out there too. Well, we know Christmas is right around the corner, y'all. You got today, you got tomorrow to get your gifts. If for some reason you're running a little late, you might be able to get this one right after Christmas. I don't know for sure. The time of year when we like to get together, break bread, and exchange gifts, that's what's going on right now, right? Finding just the right present gets harder as the years go by. The older we get, the more realistic we become. The gift of planning ahead, planning for the future, is one of the most valuable gifts you can give your loved ones. Estate planning provides peace of mind, helps avoid those dreaded family conflicts, and ensures your wishes are honored during critical times. Right now, you can get a certificate that entitles the bearer to a basic North Carolina last will and testament prepared by Cheryl P. Colson under the supervision of attorney Samuel Popkin, valued at $300 it is. You can get it today for $150. All documents can be securely filed with the North Carolina Secretary of State, the Onslow Clerk of Court, or the Register of Deeds as applicable. This offer does not cover complex estates or trusts. The original numbered certificate must be presented at the first consultation and is valid for 6 months after it's issued and is only valid for drafting and signing one will. It has no cash value and cannot be used for other legal services. You have additional questions? Call the office of Samuel Popkin, attorney at law, 910-347-0100 or 252-647-6016. This is a legal advertisement brought to you by Samuel Popkin, attorney at law. The team wants to wish you and your loved ones a wonderful holiday season filled with peace and joy.
Yes. Another excellent gift.
It is. Great
Because, it's nice to get the fun stuff and the frilly stuff and
thing. It
the
is.
new pots and pans if that's what you want.
Oh, my pan, I'll tell you, that sucker cooks shrimp real good.
Oh, yes. I need to see that too. At the first of the show, we were talking about illegal immigrants that were coming into other states and in North Carolina. Do you still have
That's the
that
game.
story on Carteret County that happened in Carteret County recently? If not, I've got it pulled up here.
I can pull it up. What you got?
Okay, it's the one where law enforcement officers with the Carteret County Sheriff's Office arrested a Newport resident on indecent liberties with a child.
Yep.
And he happened to be an illegal immigrant.
Happened to be, he was.
Yeah, he is. Yes.
He is.
He was arrested on December 18th.
Living in Newport.
Yes. You've got the story? Anyway, they've got evidence of him enticing a minor to send nude photos over social media for money.
Mhm.
And more evidence showed that he also sexually abused a minor. And ICE plans to take care of him after his jury. And
If anything happens,
if
even
anything-
if he gets
right.
out on bail or whatever, they will turn him over.
Yeah,
The sheriff's
after his
office will
jury
turn him
trial,
over
yes.
for safekeeping.
Right, right. But he's been released on, well, he's been given $150,000 secured bond.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think is going to happen if he gets out on bond?
Well, he will be turned over to ICE before he can't leave the jail without being turned over to ICE.
Well, it says ICE
if y'all-
plans to
y'all wanna-
detain him after his court case.
Well,
though.
that's for guaranteed. But
Right.
if they release him, chances are he'll end up with ICE. That would be nice. Pardon
Yes.
the pun.
But I mean, this is what our country or leaders at the time thought
Yeah,
it was
good
so
luck.
necessary to bring these people in.
Hey, I put up an opinion on Facebook over the weekend
I
with a
saw
warning
that.
not to read it.
And I was like,
Don't read this.
it was good.
It's too long. Number one. And it might rankle a few people without me being able to explain myself better. So I've gotten tired of the constant, never ending attacks on the outgoing president of the United States. That's basically what I'm talking about. And I've got a little short version. The attacks are bottom of the ninth inning cheap shots to gain acceptance of the growing numbers of conservative leaning elements in the media, the Democrat Party, and the non-political population. By non-political, I mean those folks who just don't want to argue about the whole political mess in the first place, and dang sure don't want to listen to others argue. Does anyone not agree that Joe Biden's mental health isn't what it once was? Does anybody have any doubts that he is severely handicapped in that area?
No.
Should he have continued to serve as this nation's leader when it became more than obvious that he was going downhill faster than was first acknowledged? When was it apparent? We all know it. Biden will leave Washington to spend the rest of his time doing whatever he wants to do, and that's good for him. We don't need to be picking on him. However, he does not need to be making certain decisions. And that would include releasing 37 murderers from death row federally.
I agree.
The political parties do a lot to create problems for this nation. Issues. They want to be large and in charge. In both parties who genuinely have the best interests of this country and feel they have a plan that, if implemented, will make this a better place. There are others that all they want to do is be in charge regardless of the consequences. Those at the DNC and the RNC headquarters are not so concerned about the country. That's my opinion. They want to be seen as the big shots in the nation. We know about those who attach themselves to the actual leaders, kind of like bloodsuckers or remoras feeding off a host fish. Nothing new here. There are people, political types, who want to just feed off political leaders. They want to be there.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that have concerned me most are over the past couple of decades, and especially during this last 8 years, are the members of the mainstream media. Uh-oh.
That's true.
You didn't know where I was going, did you? The media bosses, the assignment managers, the executive producers, line producers, reporters, and finally the mouthpieces, the anchors. With today's mainstream media, those we see on TV, the anchors, are not necessarily journalists. Did you know that? Some may have trained to be a reporter, ending up, as a friend of mine used to classify them, paid readers. That's all they do is read it. Not all of them. Many of them. More often than not these days, and more so on the 3 over-the-air news networks and all of the cable-based networks, the 24/7 never-ending vicious cycles of rehashed news, the anchors are actors, entertainers, commentators. They no longer report on the facts of a news story. They insert themselves and their opinions into the stories. Please note that on the local levels, especially in smaller market stations, which is, thank God, the majority of the news entities in this country, this is not the case. Why does this concern me, and why should it concern you? These people have lied. They've lied to our faces for years. They perched on their news sets and told us with straight faces that what we were seeing every night was not what we thought. While all of this is still fresh, looking at the Biden years, It's been brought out that reporters, producers, news directors, and the holier, richer than rich owners of the bodies that lie to us nightly knew without a doubt that Joe Biden was in a free fall and was no more capable of running this country than I am. They covered for him, not out of respect for him. We've seen what they did with another president in power, the man they did not like, in a party that repulsed them in every newscast for 4 years. The White House lied to the media, told the vice president lied to the media, and all of us and ever. And the media did not challenge those reports. The ones who should have been challenging everything that's given to them did nothing. When politicians lie to me, I take it with a grain of salt because I know they're lying. If in my day, Chet Huntley, David Brinkley, or my favorite Walter Cronkite had looked at the camera coming into my living room and lied, I never would have forgiven them. There was enough cover-up in those days for JFK over the Marilyn Monroe scandal, sneaking into the White House when the First Lady was out of town. Pales in comparison to not doing their job when the press secretary and the vice president lies to them, claiming that the most powerful man in the world can't tie his shoes, remember where he is, or how to find his way to the door. They lied to us about that. That's scary.
They did.
At this time, I will not believe another news network's reporting unless I'm able to verify the facts independently and not via another network. I have lost my faith.
I understand completely. And I told you that's why I quit watching national news. And if I hear a story, I do a lot of research before
You got to find it from somebody else. The problem is today on the internet, where do you find it?
Yeah.
Who do you look for? How do you do it? You just take them all and
I go
come up
after
with an
things
average?
like PolitiFact and
What do you trust them? Why do you trust them?
because everything that I have researched and used them for has so far been factual and true. And they do have a good reputation for putting out the facts. There's several others, but it's a thing where you just have to keep going. I know people that will read a documentary on a doctor, let's say, who says they have found evidence that COVID was not real, blah, blah, blah. And then they share that information with so many people, and
it becomes a fact.
And it becomes a fact suddenly. So, but the House Ethics Committee is releasing the reports on Matt Gaetz.
Well, that's fine. They should.
Yes, but right now
it needs to be released.
They had substantial evidence to show that he did participate in prostitution, statutory rape, illicit drug use, and obstruction of justice.
Then he should go to jail.
Obstruction of Congress. Yes. Well, will he go to jail?
No. A congresswoman from Texas has failed to vote on legislation for more than half of the time and hasn't voted at all since July. Really?
Who is
Republican Representative Kay Granger has been living in a retirement facility for several months now. She's retiring at the end of the current term. She didn't run for re-election, just a few weeks away. Granger's office denied one claim that the 81-year-old was in a memory care unit. So whether that's true or not, she chose not to seek re-election this year after serving in the House of Representatives since 1997.
Wow.
Prior to that, she had been the first female mayor of Fort Worth. A fellow congressman, Ro Kahana, wrote that it has become too commonplace to allow those not capable of holding that office to serve. She complains that our system that rewards seniority and relationships more than merit and ideas. Those are pretty heavy words. Our system rewards people who have been there for a long time just because they've been there for a long time and because of the relationships we have with those people. Okay, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to show up for work. You haven't voted. You haven't taken a vote. You haven't cast a vote on the House floor since July 24th. 6 months you've been gone. And we still pay you. I maintain that we have term limits now. Okay, I've always maintained that. For the U.S. House, it's 2 years. If we, the people, think a sitting congressman should be carried and carried and carried while her district is not being served, then perhaps we have too many congressmen that we don't need. Maybe we could cut back on the number of congressmen. But now I am changed my mind. Yes, we do need to definitely have term limits because we, the people, are too stupid to exercise the term limits that we have available to us.
You said 2 years for the House of Representatives. I think
That's what it is right now.
right.
It's 2 years because we can vote them out. We can take them out at any time after 2 years.
I really do, and a U.S. Senator is 6 years. I really do think, and I'll probably get a lot of flack for this, that the U.S. Congressman's term should be longer than 2 years because
They're
sooner
campaigning
gets
the whole
started.
time.
That's right. You're campaigning the whole
But
second
it's
year.
also easier for we, the people, to find out we have screwed up and we can take them out every 2 years.
Well,
So
that's true, but
I-
you're only getting half their worth when they're in there.
No, boy, I understand that too.
I tell you, somebody else they need to consider, and I think they need to put an age limit, in my opinion.
I don't think the age limit. I think a
Ah.
cognitive test after the age of 68 should be required to serve in any
for every single
elect-
year?
for-
I mean, for every year?
every time they come up for election or re-election after age 68, they should have to have a publicly announced cognitive test given to them. Then we will decide whether they can serve or not.
Well, have you seen that Rosa Luisa Del
I'm
Lauro?
just telling you that's my personal
She's
opinion.
81, and
This woman is 81. She hadn't shown up for work since since July. So if that's the case, she has abandoned her workplace.
Well, how old is Nancy Pelosi now?
400.
84? 400. You know, we didn't really discuss it. That we discussed that she fell, but she
She's in her 80s.
suffered a broken hip
Yeah, she's like
and went
82
under
or something now.
surgery. And Nancy, now's the time you need to just
Physical is one thing,
yes,
but mental is the other.
right.
You can vote. You can make decisions with a broken leg and a broken hip. That's okay.
Mhm.
You can do that. But if you can't do it with your mental issues because you have a loss of cognitive ability, then it's time to go.
I'm
Hang
just saying,
up the reins,
At
y'all.
that age, broken bones, that's the start of
Yes,
the
it is.
decline. And just retire and go enjoy your grandkids.
Yeah, absolutely. If they'll allow you.
Jeez.
Okay, we will see you tomorrow morning. Christmas Eve it will be. We don't have anyone scheduled.
It
right
is
now.
Christmas Eve tomorrow.
Yes, it is. Beginning at midnight tonight.
Oh my god.
So today is Christmas Eve.
I was thinking that Wednesday. I don't know what I was thinking.
con-
Okay,
you're
I'm
confused.
good. I'm good. Is it Monday?
No, it is the end of Monday for us right now.
Right.
Have a great rest of your days. Try to
Yes,
stay
please
warm.
do.
It's going to be chilly today. A little less cold tonight than it was last night. It was 20 last night. It's up to 27 at the official location back here in the out of the sun.
Right.
That's where you're supposed to put your weather.
I remember at
temperature
one
things.
point during the night waking up and looking at my weather station, and it was 18 degrees outside because I had to get up and look. I was like, what?
It can vary from
Yes.
place to place.
Yes.
Okay. We will see you tomorrow morning, bright and early at 7 o'clock. So come on down and try to talk about as many good things as we can tomorrow.
Absolutely. Yours is saying you had a low of 19. See, so.
So I didn't see it. It was 20 this morning when I got here.
Oh, I know it was.
Okay. Have a great rest of your day. You're live and local Real Talk, where you are always
Awake.
awake with us, and we are never woke. See you in the morning. Have a good day. Bye.